Welcome to our meeting tonight. Appreciate your attendance. First item on the agenda is to consider the public comments. Now's the appropriate time for visitors in the audience to be recognized, speak to items both on the agenda, general concerns of the patrons of the district. There will be a limit of 3 minutes for an individual, 5 for a group spokesperson. No speaker shall speak more than twice on any issue. The board is legally obligated to maintain confidentiality concerning district personnel. Therefore, matters concerning district personnel will not be discussed. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to the board tonight? There being none, we'll move to item 2.04. We'll do our IT director. We already know JR. And instructions of the new teachers. We'll do that, move to October. Our Give Me a Break drawing. I think this is the second one this year or first?
First one.
First one. This is your big job here.
My rookie run at this thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. And the person is Alexis Schultz, 8 at Washington. So I will be contacting her tomorrow.
All right.
Yay.
Cool.
I don't know what that means, but I will be contacting her tomorrow.
You're going to be doing her job for a day, which is all right. Next item is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Karina, second by Robin. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is Rochelle with us yet? Okay, Rochelle's ill tonight, so she elected to go Zoom. Hopefully she'll join us. Approval of the consent agenda items. There's anything on the consent agenda items anybody like to move off and discuss? There being none, I need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Brenda, second by Ashley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Just a reminder, we'll have our meet and greet in Granger coming up in October. Craig, as soon as you get that date, let us know. Reminder that tomorrow at 6 o'clock, we'll do our ribbon cutting at the Lincoln Middle School, the new addition there, assuming they have power. I guess we can do it without power. And also a reminder, the Wyoming School Boards Association Conference coming up in Casper, November 18th to the 20th. And Brenda, is that still a go or still a go? Okay. Keep that in mind if you're interested in going. Nothing under personnel. Under curriculum instruction and assessment, we have an activities report, short, sweet, and to the point. Welcome, Mr. Beardsley.
Good evening, Chairman Core, Superintendent Granger, and Board of Trustees. A quick report on fall sports. We're up and running. And for those of you that have attended, it's been hectic and a scramble, but I will have to say that I really want to thank the Green River community and really thank our parents. We had our scrimmage the first weekend and we had a lot of people show up, and it was overwhelming for us with the COVID-19 restrictions and all that. And then we implemented our processes and protocols, and at the last game, the parents really stepped up, and it was a great event. And I really appreciate the community and parents for doing that. I did include some documents for you as board members, just for you to look at. And basically those are the different ways that we've tried to communicate out to people. And that's been a challenge. And we had a lot of phone calls, and there's a lot of people that, have struggled with this, but overall, everyone has bought into what we're trying to do, and we're off to a great start. And we appreciate the district, the board, and our community, and all of our parents. With that, they are talking about winter sports, and I will let you know how that goes. Of course, the sport of wrestling is one of the big things that the WHSA and the State Department of Health are going to be talking about. So we'll know about those sports soon. Any questions?
How's your numbers?
Our numbers for participants is way up. It's great. We were worried that a lot of kids may not, take part because of some of the worries. It's been the opposite effect here in Green River. Not only are they taking part, but we have huge numbers of athletes. We had 60 plus middle school volleyball players in just 7th and 8th grade. And that's been a tremendous thing, and everyone's doing great. So numbers are up, Mr. Court.
And one final question I had, how did the Lander parents handle what I guess what all high schools are going to be doing, but how was the out of town visitors?
The out-of-town visitors were excellent. The Lander parents knew exactly what was going on. They did a great job. They were very cordial, and I would give them a lot of kudos. And we're doing our process, Mr. Core, is pretty much the same as Sheridan High School that Don Julian put together. We really like it, and our visiting fans were very appreciative of it.
And I guess one final question. Have we had a home volleyball match yet? And how will that work?
We haven't had a home volleyball match. I think it's the 26th or 24th that we finally have a home high school match. So the process will be the exact same as the football games, with the exception that we only get 250 fans for that. But the process will be the same. And so far, so good on that. From the other volleyball venues that have hosted. So, and ours will be a lot like theirs. So I expect it to go pretty smoothly. We have had swimming, and the swimming events have been awesome. Those parents are great. And volleyball will be very similar to swimming, and we haven't had any issues with swimming.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the information, too.
Yep, thanks.
Appreciate it. Next up is our technology report. JR, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Core, Superintendent Berenger, members of the board. I just want to give a quick report on technology so far in the first 3 weeks of the school year, I guess. Big push has been Chromebooks, obviously, getting it all one-to-one, getting it out to our distance learning kids, and working closely with curriculum on our distance ed teachers and making sure that they're all set up and ready to go. So that's kind of a fluid process, trying to find what works, what doesn't work, what's better for the kids. So the biggest hurdle was getting the Chromebooks out to everybody and making sure everybody had everything they needed to get it done. While I'm talking about Chromebooks, we get some good news on our new Chromebooks that we ordered. They were originally supposed to be here in January. Now we're hearing late October, early November. So hopefully we get those pretty soon, because then we can get those out to our staff members in case we have to go to tier 3. Hopefully not. We're also adding Enterprise for our G Suite for Education, which is going to give us some additional features for Google Meets, as well as some security features and reporting features for Google, which is hopefully going to help our teachers if they, want to teach virtually or, through Google Classroom. Along the lines of the Chromebooks, we're adding more access points to a bunch of our buildings, especially the high school, because now that people are actually utilizing all their Chromebooks, we're finding some areas where there's some more congregation of Chromebooks and devices on the Wi-Fi. So we're getting to add those. And at Expedition Academy, we put in some of our new line displays. They're replacing smart boards, and this is kind of the direction that everybody's moving, is rather than a projector and a smart board on a wall, it's a mobile interactive touch TV. This will give the teachers the ability to have the kids, share their screens from the Chromebooks on this TV, interact with it in the classroom, as well as have it mobile in the room, and they can move it wherever they want to. So we're pretty excited to work with Ralph and everybody at Expedition Academy to kind of test that out for the district. So any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, JR.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Next, here are our curriculum and assessment report. Mr. Figenzer, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Core, Superintendent Berenger, Board of Trustees. Just to follow up on what JR was talking about, we have 111 students in our distance learning program. We have 42 elementary students, 26 middle school students, and 43 high school students. Looking around the state and some of the bumps in the road that others are experiencing, ours is going relatively smooth, considering the pitfalls that we could predict and some that we couldn't. I wanted to thank all of the principals for the hard work that they have put in to making this work. They're kind of that first line of complaint, and they are the decision makers. And we believe that the students that are in this program are the ones that will really be successful. But as parents call and have questions, we reinforce all the time that just because the contract says 9 weeks, we are not going to let a student fail. So if this environment is not working for them, we will bring them back into the building and have them go back face to face with their instruction. So that's short, sweet, to the point. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Appreciate it. Next up is to consider the RFP results recommendation for our nutrition services van. Leah, welcome.
Sorry, I'm a little slow. Chairman Core, Superintendent Behringer, Board of Trustees. We received very competitive proposals. They all met the specifications we were looking for. I would like to recommend that we award the proposal to Fremont Motors. They were the lowest local bidder at a total cost of $49,846.
Need a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Robin, second by Brenda to approve the nutritional services van be awarded to Fremont Motors for $49,846. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Leah.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. When will that get in? Is it here? Whoa. Okay. All right, thanks.
Popular items.
All right, consider approval to apply for impact aid monies. Mr. Behringer.
Chairman Core, Board of Trustees, we are hoping that you will approve us to apply for the impact aid money. It's money based on parents who are working on federal property on any given day. There was a history of funds provided there. You can see it's significantly less than it was in the 80s and mid 90s. But we're still hoping to apply for those monies.
Need a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Karina, second by Brenda to go after some PL 874 monies. Hopefully we'll get a lot. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Craig. Consider approval of the CDC agreement for preventive mechanical services. Mr. Behringer?
Chairman Core, Board of Trustees, this is the same agreement that we had with the CDC a year ago. It wasn't used a whole lot last year because of the COVID and the shutdown, but we will provide them services through our district transportation department as listed in the contract.
Need a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Robin,
Second.
second by Karina to approve the memorandum of understanding between Sweetwater County Child Development Center and School District Number 2. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is consider approval of the resolution for the purchase of property and modular home by the city of Granger. And Craig, I'm just going to read this because I have to
Okay.
read this into the meeting minutes.
Okay.
It's a resolution approving the sale of real estate and modular home. This is lengthy. I apologize. Whereas the Board of Trustees of Sweetwater County School District Number 2, which would be the board seller, owns certain real property in Granger, Wyoming, particularly depicted in the contract to buy and sell real estate attached hereto as Exhibit A, the property within Sweetwater County, Wyoming. Whereas the town of Granger, by and through its town council, the buyer desires to acquire the property from the board seller, and the board seller desires to sell the property to the town of Granger. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Sweetwater County School District Number 2 that Section 1, the board hereby authorizes and approves the sale of the property to the buyer for a total price of $6,000. Section 2, the board hereby authorizes and approves the Sweetwater County School District Number 2 enter into a contract to buy and sell real estate for the buyer for the sale of property for the purchase price. The proposed form of the contract for sale attached hereto is Exhibit A is hereby authorized and approved. Section 3, on behalf of the board seller, the board chairman, and board treasurer are hereby authorized to execute the contract for sale, which shall be substantially in the form attached hereto. The board chairman and board treasurer are also hereby authorized to execute any other agreements or documents necessary to officiate the purposes of the contract for sale and the closing of purchase of the property pursuant thereto. Section 4, the board chairman and the board treasurer or board treasurer are authorized to make appropriate arrangements to accept the sale proceeds pursuant to the contract for sale, and payment for such costs is hereby approved. All formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution have been discussed and acted upon in an open meeting of this board. All acts, orders, or resolutions or parts thereof in conflict with this resolution are hereby repealed. I need a motion to approve that, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Karina, second by Ashley. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye. Opposed?
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is consider the approval of new policies, GBNB, GDNB, sexual harassment, and policy JFCL, sexual harassment. This is a third reading. Dr. Foos, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Cord, Superintendent Berenger, and trustees. We have one change. The title of the policy is sexual harassment. Title IX has required us to remove sexual harassment from its protected categories and have a standalone policy. That's the third reading here. If it is an issue of number of gender-based sports, girls versus boys, that will be taken care of through the old policies or the one that we put in a year ago. If it's an issue of sexual harassment, it will be taken care of through the new policy. Thank you for your consideration for third reading.
Need a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Robin, second by Brenda to approve the new policies GBNB, GDNB, and policy JFCL. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consider approval of the new policy IMG, policies and procedures on service animals in schools. Who would have thought we'd have to have a policy for this? First reading, Mr. Foos.
Yes, and just to give you a little background on that information, we're able to get existing policies from the WSBA as example policies, and this is the first time this district will be adopting such a policy. When we obtained that policy, immediately Dr. Demaray and working with some of our stakeholders identified some areas that did not align with ADA compliance, and so we sent that back, and through some wordsmithing and attorney review, we got it to a point that is ADA compliant, and there is a need for this policy. Thank you for your consideration for first reading.
Okay, this is first reading, and get a motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Robin, second by Brenda to approve the new policy IMG, policies and procedures on service animals in schools. Again, this is first reading of 3. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of the revision to policy ACA, sexual harassment. This is a first reading. Dr. Foos?
Our policy configuration in SW2, G policies are personnel, J policies are students. The A policies are the foundational commitment of the board of directors. The ACA policy that you see in front of us is the exact policy that you just approved on third reading, minus the procedures, how we would handle the investigation, but is the foundational commitment that the board is committed to preventing sexual harassment in our organization.
Well said. I need a motion, please. Moved by Robin,
Second.
second by Ashley. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is consider approval of the amendment to policy AFC-1 and policy GCN-1, evaluation of professional staff and teachers.
This has been a hot topic for a few years now with the legislators, and the board of directors will remember the 2-year process that you engaged in the superintendent evaluation tool. Thank you for your hard work on that. Earlier this fall in August, I had to submit your work along with the work of our principal evaluation system and our teacher evaluation system. That did trigger just a quick amendment of some words in the existing policy. For example, all teachers will receive a summary rating evaluation at the end of the year, and summary is where principals believe that their certified person is performing. It's almost their grade. If you remember, the formative piece is the pre-observation, observation, post-observation for the intent of growing the teacher, but we have to adhere to the summary rating form every year, and that's the amendment in a gist that you see in front of you.
Need a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Brenda, second by Karina. This will be just a one reading.
Yeah, just an amendment, adjust the language.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, consider approval of sexual harassment complaint form.
The forms are required under the new Title IX regulations to be attached to the third reading G policy and J policies that you just approved. There are forms that Mary will tack on at the end of the policy in case someone goes there, and that will give them a starting point if they were to initiate a complaint or do what they need to do. That's the same for 9.08 and 9.09.
It says on here first reading, so this has got to go through 3 readings or just one reading?
We are just going to do a one reading and put it on with the third reading that you just approved.
Okay. Need a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Robin, second by Brenda to approve the sexual harassment complaint form. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, consider approval of the witness disclosure form.
Works the same way.
Need a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Brenda,
Second.
second by Karina. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next,
Thank you.
consider approval of the district asphalt project. Oh, Dr. Foos, thanks. Unless you want to talk about asphalt.
Thank you, Chairman Core.
Thanks, Doug.
As came out of the Facilities Committee a few weeks ago, and then through a board poll, we are just formalizing that poll.
Okay, you guys got the information. I see they've already started the project.
They have.
That's great. So defeating this would be interesting on Doug's part. Should we do it? Moved by Brenda, second by Robin to approve this project. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. All right. Wow, this is quick. Superintendent and board comments. Let's start with you, Craig. What you got on your agenda tonight?
You know, it's been an interesting few days, but I would like to thank the maintenance staff. We had an accident at Truman, middle of last week. And when we got up there, there was a lot of damage to the playground area and the building was fine. But by the time we got back in the morning, you could not tell other than the fake fence. And then yesterday, when I finally got out and about, our maintenance staff was throughout the district, cutting trees, moving trees, plowing parking lots. And so I'd like to, I'd really like to thank them for their unseen work, but it was very noticed.
Okay, thank you. Brenda, I'm going all around the board here, so be ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to attend the WSBA sessions that they're putting on via the Zoom. Very, very informative. The last one was on the recalibration and what they're proposing in that committee. I'm sure that you guys, Craig and Chris, are already on top of all of this, but that could mean some real damage to our district. And tonight's call, they talked about wanting to hear from board members specifically, what that kind of cut would mean to our district. And Laramie did a presentation, and they had a dollar bill that showed the governor what that cut would mean. And that dollar bill showed 86.7% goes to salary and benefits. If they were to cut 12 to 15 to 16% of their budget, it would mean 220 employees. And the governor in that meeting was shocked at what that would mean. And I would like to see us put together something like that so that we can meet with our community and get our community fired up, because that's who they want to hear from. They don't want to hear from Craig. They don't want to hear from our business manager. They want to hear from the board and what our community, in fact, the words were, what will your community tolerate as far as cuts go? It's like, okay. And, there's options. I mean, we can propose options. A 1% sales tax or a 1 cent sales tax statewide would raise the number of funds. But we have so many people running on the ballot that we don't want to raise taxes. But if they hear it from the community, they may change their mind. And so I encourage you, if you have a chance to get on those calls, they're short, they're an hour long, you can interact. The recalibration meets again October 28th. It's my understanding they're going to send a letter to the board chairs asking for some type of response, what our community's saying, things like that. Brian thought that was a little aggressive to get us October's like, 6 weeks away. But anyway, just some things to be aware of. And I have that picture of the dollar if you want to see it, but it was pretty impactful to the governor. So I just wanted to share that. And if the WSBA does not meet live in November, they will do a Zoom delegate assembly, so we can vote on what they want to take to the legislative body this year. So,
Yeah, and I know the governor's asked for a voluntary 10% cut from school funding. But I have some comments on this recalibration. I read an interesting article on it today. I'll get to that in here in a sec. Karina, thanks, Brenda.
Thanks, Brenda. That's very informative. I think it's important that we, as a community, show the legislators what we want and kind of put into perspective of what we are having to deal with on our level and at all the districts in Wyoming, for that matter. So thank you for sharing that. The first couple of weeks of school have been interesting. We started out good, and then we had a little hiccup, and we're back at it again. But I want to thank you, Craig, and the team that you have together for providing the notice to the parents so early in the morning that school was canceled. As a working mom, it's important for me to know where I need my kids to go and if I need daycare, or, if I need help watching the kids and things like that. So I appreciate the communication and as early as you did do it. My kids are enjoying school. I've talked to a lot of parents and a lot of other kids. I've been to some of the schools and seen the interaction with the kids, and it seems to be going very well. The kids are excited to be back. The teachers are excited. My little kindergartner thinks masks are the most important thing in the world right now. She wears it in the car. She wears it in her room. It's great. So the positivity, the influence that you guys are having on the kids right now is great. And I hope that you keep it up and just keep their spirits up, because already, 3 weeks in, we're already having hiccups and we're just getting into the cold and flu season. So definitely keep your positive attitudes up, and I will do the same. And thank you for everything that you're doing.
All right. Thank you, Karina. Mark?
I just want to thank everybody for working so hard, and Tony, thanks for navigating the activities. I wouldn't want that job. So thanks for the hard work there. I appreciate everybody's hard work.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Ashley?
I just wanted to say welcome back to everybody. I've heard great things from parents, students, teachers, staff, about how great it is to be back in person and to be learning in person, and how much more effective it is for the students. So hopefully everyone will keep following the rules so that we can keep our schools open. A big thanks to everyone who helped out with the storm yesterday, to maintenance and teachers, staff, everybody for being flexible with that. And then today for Lincoln, you guys did a great job, and had one that got to stay home and two that were mad that she got to stay home and they didn't. But she did have to go to the high school for one class, but it was good and it went well. I thought they're like first thing in the morning, she just wanted to be done in the morning, but she was on and the teachers already had stuff posted and assignments, and so it was good. So good job on that. And thank you, Tony, for all you're doing with all the athletic stuff. I know it's been a lot and will keep being a lot with each sport that rolls out, but I've heard positive things too. I think everyone just wants to let these kids play, so they're willing to follow any rules that we're going to give them. So thank you for that. And I think that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. Robin?
I too would like to thank everybody for starting out the year so well. I'm thrilled about it. I was nervous. I'm still nervous, but I'm glad that things have been going well. And I know my grandkids are thrilled to be back in school, and that's good to see. My son and daughter-in-law are still a little skeptical and trying to keep those kids under control, but things seem to be going very well. So thank you. Jason, thank you for adapting and doing the meeting on the phone for me. And I appreciate your time, and it went pretty well. I do want to share, typically every year I visit every school and make my way through the school. I will not be doing that this year. If I said I was going to, my husband would probably chain me to a chair and not let me out of the house. I do have some immune issues, and I spent 2.5 months on a ventilator, and I'm telling you, you never ever want to do that. So please be cautious. Do what you need to do to keep yourself and those kids safe. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I too want to thank the staff for all the hard work. I had a chance to talk to a high school teacher yesterday and just talking with him, and he said that kids are doing great at the high school, but there's moments where they forget their role in this whole thing. And the teacher told me, I remind them, do you want to be in this building or do you want to be behind a computer screen for the next so many months? And that kind of gets them back focused in. I think that's great. My grandkids are saying, I talked to both my grandkids and they say the masks are not a big deal to them anyway. It's just part of the deal. So anyway, and I would like to let everybody know that Brenda brought up a good point in the education funding. And if it gets a big cut, it's going to be people, because we are in the people business, and our teachers are rock stars and I don't want to lose any of them. So I encourage you to discuss this with your legislators. House District 60 here in Green River has a contested race, and I encourage you to ask both those candidates where they stand on education funding and really pin them down. It's an important issue. So if you get a chance to talk to either one of those, setting aside, and we all know that in Wyoming, Republican, Democrat really matters not. And you have a Republican candidate and a Democratic candidate, pin them down and ask them the questions, how they feel about education and funding and all of that. So like I said, there's two candidates. I'm sure there's going to be a forum. Speaking of forums, I believe there's one for school board candidates on October 19th. Is that correct, Craig? Monday, the 19th, I think is the day. And it'll be right here in the school board chambers. And hopefully we'll be able to put that on our Facebook video. That'd be nice. Encourage folks. It's tough not to be able to go and root for the home team. If you're not a parent, don't have a kid on the team or whatever, but as just a general fan, it's tough. But I got to admit that NHS video that they have, I signed up for it because I don't get to go watch the Wolves play anymore. And I didn't get a chance to watch the game on Friday night, but I did watch it on Saturday. You can go in there and you can watch the replay of it. And they have the audio of the Cougar radio announcers on there. Foosh, you sounded pretty good. Got a little emotional there a couple of times, but not bad. But anyway, I really enjoyed watching that on Saturday, and it's a 2 hour and 20-minute little deal, and I enjoyed watching that. So that NHS, I think it's NHS, or is it NFHS? And I think it's $70 for the year, I think is what it was. And there'll be a camera at Wolf Stadium, and every game played at Wolf Stadium will be on there. Freshman, 8th grade, 7th grade. So you can watch that. And then, I sound like a salesman here. The camera will also be at Wolf's Gym. So you can watch volleyball that's going on in there and basketball during the basketball season. I want to thank the board for doing your homework, doing your due diligence. I think that's what makes these meetings go smoothly. Sometimes it appears we're just going through this, but I think it's because we do our homework, and I appreciate that. I thought it was an interesting article in the Casper Star Tribune this morning. I do subscribe to that. Front page was recalibration. And I read that article, and there's two things that jumped out at me. Number one, I think they understand the Supreme Court ruling. That's the big hammer over their heads. Number two, I'm confused why Senator Hank Coe is still part of this process, because he's not running for re-election. I find it interesting that he still has a big hammer in this, and he's not on the ballot in November. So I find that interesting. And third, there's not one mention in that entire article about generating revenue, which I find interesting. Remember, we will go to the polls in November, put education at least partly on the agenda, who you vote for. And remember that the legislative session is after the election. So I'm thinking maybe after the election, we might see them really get down and start talking about generating revenue. Let's hope. And that's about all I have on my stand. We do have an executive session tonight. An executive session is for the purpose of potential litigation pursuant to Wyoming Statute 164405. I do not anticipate any action following the executive session. So I need a motion to move into executive session, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Karina, second by Brenda or Robin. Did you, Brenda? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
lucked out on like the shortest meeting ever.
I think we got everything signed.
I think you should.
Okay. All right.
Stay there.
Okay, I need a motion to come out of executive. No, we're going to come out of executive. I need a motion to end the executive session. Moved by Brenda, second by Karina. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much for your talents tonight. I appreciate it. Getting home early.
This was due diligence here.
I know it.
Going-